What is up? Late night here. Get back from traveling pretty late. It's now tomorrow in a way, but I'm gonna count this video for yesterday or today, depending on how you look at it, because when I woke up, I was on the other side of the country. So being where I am right now, if I was still there, it would still be yesterday. So this is yesterday's video. All that being said, travel went fairly well. Pretty insane airport experience. I mean, nothing too crazy, just busy. One of the busiest airports I've been in a long time. A little bit of chaos, a little bit of stress working to get on my connecting flight. Felt like I wasn't gonna make it. Wasn't even deboarded by the time my next flight was boarding, so made it all the way through. And that stress and anxiety, it kind of came about in traveling, or when you see it when you're in an airport. It's one of the biggest things that I think, one of the benefits that you could have by addressing the conversations you might need to have and communicating with those that matter in support of meaningful relationships. That being said, conversations can sometimes be very difficult to have. And I think I've gotten a lot better at doing it. I'm not perfect at doing it. I have conversations that I need to have because they matter to the relationship, or the relationships matter to me. And that's really the kind of person that I want to be more than anything. So in there, part of the ways or strategy that I approach this is really just a mindset and framing issue. I think it's taking it from this place of saying, minimizing the problem and maximizing the discomfort, like is where we normally are. We're just saying, oh yeah, that conversation would be really hard to have, be really uncomfortable. Maybe I wouldn't like what the other person has to say. Maybe they won't like what I have to say, just so on and so forth. All the negativity surrounding the conversation versus whatever the problem might be, we minimize it. Oh, it's not that bad. Maybe it'll get better. It's not that big of an issue. It doesn't matter that much, so on and so forth. This is minimizing the problem and maximizing the discomfort of the conversation. So I look at this as pain versus pain, just like this really interesting, or maybe it's a simple way to look at it. What we need to do, or what works for me, is to take the pain of the problem and start to feed it fuel, make it bigger. Try to get that pain as much as you can, as big as you can. And then the pain of the conversation, I try to flip it. I try to get that as little as it can, or in fact, I try to look at the benefits of having the conversation versus highlighting some of the awkward parts or the discomfort of it, or any potential negative feelings that might come up on one side versus the other. And by changing the framing of the conversations, you can kind of change what motivates you. So you're pulling yourself towards having the conversation and away and needing to address the problem instead of just talking yourself out of it or talking it down and letting you kick that can down the road. We're very good at finding excuses as human beings. It's one of the biggest things that I've found throughout my adult life. So this is taking it and trying to eliminate those excuses, trying to flip it around and just kind of increase the motivation of having a conversation. And that's, whatever that problem is, it needs to be as big as as you can make it. A lot of times, all it really takes is an honest and critical look at what you're dealing with, and on both sides of both the problem and the discussion that needs to be had. Additionally, just looking at the actual benefits of like what this means for the relationship. And how much does this relationship matter to me? And understanding your needs as an individual. I think that's also very important, is don't diminish your needs, because that's basically eroding or limiting your self-respect. And if you don't respect yourself, it's going to be very hard to expect someone else to respect you and enable those boundaries. Have the conversations you need to have. One last motivating factor that I look at, Kat has zoomies. One last motivating factor that I look at is the as I started this video, it's kind of the kind of person that I want to be, is the person that has the necessary conversations, is honest with my feelings and honest with my perspectives to those relationships that matter the most to me. That's who I want to be. And so if that's who I want to be, then that's what I need to do. Those conversations are how I am that person. Identity can be an incredible motivating factor. I've learned that lesson from, primarily I would say I pulled that lesson from Atomic Habits by James Clear. Fantastic book. I don't know if I particularly finished it. I pulled out enough good stuff without finishing it. I probably need to circle back and close that book out. But like, those are just a couple of the areas and the aspects. Is what does this mean to me? Problems don't go away on their own. So you need to figure out a way to frame them in a way in which you'll actually have the conversation and do, and really just kind of unlock what matters. And at the end of it, all the motivation that needs to be had is what you need to understand is that the impacts will never be as bad as you anticipate them to be. It may not be what you want, and that's something to come to terms with, but you will be able to make progress. You'll be able to convey your emotions, and if they're not respected or if they're not well received, that's information that you get to use moving forward about what that relationship means, what that relationship should look like in your life. I value gaining the input back, the information back, and ultimately trying to be the truest form of yourself, because it really significantly reduces much lower stress levels, much lower anxiety. Just be you. Have the conversations you need to have. If something bothers you, talk about it. Get it out there. Try to get to an understanding with those people that matter the most. It gets easier as you do it. The first one can seem probably impossible, like you're gonna just die. You won't. So do it. Lean into the relationships that matter. Start to get better at it. And then get to be the truest, fullest form of yourself. Good luck. Try that out. I hope it helps. It's helped me significantly. You can't lose if you don't quit.